International Circuit, Qatar F1 Academy qualifying got underway and the drivers quickly got up to speed on this fast-flowing circuit. It was busy on track, the drivers trying to find the limits. Many of them did, avoiding the gravel trap proving too tricky for some. But all eyes were on the series title protagonists, Alpine's Abby Pulling and Mercedes driver Dorian Pain. They trade places at the top, but it was Pain who doubled down and made it 2 poles from 2. Well, the sun has very much set, the air has cooled and the tension is mounting as 16 F1 Academy drivers await the start of their first race under the shimmering Qatari sky for round 6, race 1. The Lusail International Circuit is about to come alive in the penultimate round of the calendar. This track is 5.4 kilometers in length. It is very much known for its smooth, fast-flowing layout. It's a combination of technical corners and full throttle section, and it's going to require high-commitment laps, lap after lap. Now, this is a very pivotal moment in the series. Who is going to rise and who will fall? There is a title fight to be won, and we are here from it. Maya Vug, she has done a phenomenal job here in qualifying this morning. She's starting from P2, another front row start from her. Dorian Pain, our champion title protagonist at the moment, will be starting on the front row of the grid. And Abby Pulling, for the first time this year, is starting from the second row of the grid. Up until this point, she had been on the front row of the grid at every race, all 10 races of the season. My name is Nikki Shields in commentary. Alongside me is a former McLaren factory driver, Joe Osborne. Joe, this is such an exciting moment, a pivotal moment in the series history.
Massive one there, and Abby Pulling didn't have a great championship sort of Shakira qualifying earlier, did she?
Let's take a look at the starting grid. So Lola Lovenfoss for Charlotte Tilbury is going to be starting down at the back alongside Tina Houseman. Amna Alcobazi, an improvement from last time in P14, with Emily de Hausch alongside in 13th. Chloe Chambers really struggled in qualifying today. She's on the hunt for competing in 4th in the championship. Schreiner alongside her, Jess Edgar in 10th, and Aurelia Nobles, our youngest driver at 17, in 9th. Bianca Bustamante for the McLaren in 8th, and Nerea Marti, our Spanish driver, in 7th. 6th, we have our wildcard driver, Alicia Pamowski, and 5th alongside her is Hamna Alcobazi. Leah Block, a fantastic 3rd consecutive 4th place start, is looking for her first podium. Then we have Abby Pulling in 3rd, Maya Vug on the front row, her 5th time in 2nd, and for her 4th time, her 4th pole position. Just at the moment, the time where she needs it, we have Dorian Pain on pole position. What a return to form we have seen from Dorian Pain. Earlier on in the season, she was recovering from fractured ribs. She injured herself in a cycling incident. There were maybe a couple of races where she wasn't at the top of her form, but if we remember, she started out with a pole position and a win when we look back at what happened in Jeddah. She actually crossed the finish line first, the checkered flag first, when we had our 2nd race in Jeddah, but she did she crossed it twice actually and got a penalty, so she missed out on the win there. But she's been a formidable force over the course of this season, and now has a 93 points deficit between herself and her biggest contender, Abby Pulling, who is at the top of the standings.
Yeah, and as a driver, you want to get your focus, and you've got the DJ blaring out some rather loud tunes at the moment. But Dorian Pain, let's not forget, she's had those 2 jump starts this year as well. We've had 9 in total, 7 other drivers being done for it. Easily done, but it's another thing to think about in these Formula 1 Academy cars. The clutches are very sensitive. The drivers will have them set how they want them to be, but yeah, easy mistake to make.
So these 16 drivers, which is the 15 drivers who've been doing the full season, and then we have our wild card driver, Alicia Pamowski, who are taking to the track, weaving as much as possible to get as much heat into those tyres. Just 1 formation lap before we go racing. Now, this is the first time that these drivers have raced under the lights. What are the biggest challenges going to be for them? They have had 3 days of testing at this track before, but this is going to be the very first time in these conditions. Let's actually hear from our top 3 drivers, Abby Pulling, Maya Vug and Dorian Pat, on how they're feeling after qualifying.
The biggest opportunity is off the line for overtaking. I think around here, following will be quite tough, but you never know. It might surprise us. I think it will be a race of attrition.
I think the most important will be to get the tires up to temperature. It's going to be much colder and we don't have many laps to get the tires up to temp, and we don't want to grain the front, especially on a track like this.
We don't have much time to warm the tires before the start, so it's going to be, I think, tricky and challenging in the first few laps, but it's going to be for everyone the same, so starting in pole is still good.
Yeah, it's a perfect time to be back in pole position, that's for sure. Now, getting as much heat into these tyres, air temperature has dropped to 18 degrees. Track temperature 20 degrees. Incredibly different conditions that the drivers were experiencing today, and also that they've done most of their prepping.
Yeah, they had 3 days of testing here all during the day. They had one session yesterday. FP2 was in these conditions, and that was a very quick session. It was actually half a second quicker in FP2 than it was in qualifying because of that track temp being a bit low. Pulling, just locking the brakes as Pin starts to back them up there. It was a very quick formation lap, high energy, everyone just trying to get as much tyre temp as possible. Pan the dictator in that. Now she backs everybody up, so she's not sat on the grid any longer than she needs to be, losing temp out the tyres and the brakes. Chloe Chambers back in 14th. Remember, she was a race winner in Barcelona this year. Is she going to have a charge through the field? She sure will be hoping. Look how close she's getting back. Schreiner there in front in the kick Sauber, so Pan can get it lined up. Take her time. Marvug will swing over to our left side as we look at it and get ready for this start. It's going to be super intense into turn 1. I predict that Darren Pan will go to the inside, block the inside, and Pulling is going to try and send it round the outside of turn 1. Lots of camber is possible, but risky.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to put it into perspective of how close the title fight is at the moment, it could be wrapped up today if the positions finished as they started. So if Dorian Pan wins the race and Abby Pulling finishes 3rd, if Abby Pulling also takes the fastest lap, she will wrap up the title today. So we'll be keeping a very close eye on that over the course of the next 30 minutes. But there they are, all lined up. That's the first time Abby Pulling will be sitting behind her rival, Dorian Pan. Now we just keep an eye for that green flag to signal the start of the race. And all their eyes are going to be on the lights. The drivers are poised and ready to race as F1 Academy is underway in Qatar, and it is a brilliant start there from Dorian Pan. Lightning reactions there. Maya Vug almost coming alongside her. Abby Pulling trying to get in between the two of them. Can Abby Pulling manage to make her place here? It doesn't look like she can. Dorian Pan there manages to maintain the lead of the race. Maya Vug is coming back for more action, but Abby Pulling has managed to secure herself a P2 at the most critical time for herself in this title fight. What a start there for Abby Pulling.
Brilliant, super aggressive, as we can see. Hamda El-Khawazi look down the inside of Vug, 3 wide in the background as well. Nobles defending from Schreiner there. Abby Pulling, this couldn't have gone any better. She now just needs to follow Dorian Pan, who has been super fast here in Qatar. Looks like Maya Vug is struggling for pace. Jessica Edgar looks like down the inside of Bustamante, who's slow off the line. They're going to run side by side all the way up to turn 7. Cuts to the inside Edgar. This is great racing all the way down the field.
Yeah, it looked so close at the start there. It was almost a little Abby Pulling sandwich, but great positioning for her right now. But Maya Vug is very much still in the battle, slightly struggling with control of the car. Perhaps didn't get the heat into the tyres as she wanted to, and mentioned earlier, we're now on board with Chloe Chambers, who's already moved up to P10. She started the race a little bit further back in P12 and has very much got her eyes on as many points as possible, because she is in the battle. She's P4 in the standings at the moment. She's in the battle for 3rd. Maya Vug just 17 points ahead.
Yeah, Bustamante in front went off into 12. The tailwind there, catching drivers out all weekend. She's looking to fight back on the inside of Edgar. I have to say, Edgar and Chambers did really well not to follow Bustamante out there through the gravel traps, which have been luring a lot of these drivers in. Really good, effective way of managing track limits. Really, I'm a huge fan of it at the moment. The top 3 gaps look equidistant, don't they? But Hamda El-Koubazi is looking racy, currently in 4th place.
Yeah, you can see a little bit of action there going on towards the back of the grid. We've got the 2 Red Bulls side by side with Lola Lovenfoss trying to get in on the action as well. We can also see Jess Edgar, Aurelia Nobles coming up on the inside of Chloe Chambers there.
Yeah, really good move, gets it done, takes the position from Chambers, who are on board. You can see Amna El-Koubazi running wide, trying to get back down the inside of Emily de Hausch. Bustamante dropping off the back of Edgar now. Another car dropping the wheel. De Hausch, Lovenfoss looking to the inside. This could be 3 wide as they come into turn 4. 90-degree right coming. Who's going to break latest? Lovenfoss gives up the inside. De Hausch holds it there. Can maybe Lovenfoss look to the inside as they exit turn number 6? Gravel trap on the exit here as well, to be careful. Great driving by all. Really strong but fair driving by all.
Yeah, and look at that time gap already, 1.4 seconds. Dorian Pat is pulling away as much as she possibly can from Abby Pulling, her biggest rival behind. And again, a bit of a gap there between Pulling and Vug. Pulling really needs to keep on the tails of Pulling to really, I mean, I know they're against each other, but Vug and Pat are actually part of the same works team for Prema, so they are working together to a degree.
Yeah, definitely, and they want to get the Constructors' Championship for Prema. At the moment, they're leading by 7 points. This will really help them. Abby Pulling's next Roden teammate is all the way down in 8th, and Jessica Edgar, as we see another car drop a wheel in the gravel trap. So easy to do, and can really hurt. Really interested one block there. She's pushing hard. She qualified 4th. Interestingly, her second best time. We'll see her line up 8th tomorrow, so maybe a bit of consistency will be needed there. No damage to the car yet, but if you keep going through those gravel traps, you're going to damage the floor at some point.
Yeah, we saw the track limits really being pushed both yesterday and this morning in qualifying, and it's something that they're going to have to really respect. We know how much tyre degradation is a worry for the drivers coming into this 14-lap race. So we can see them now coming down into turn 1. As it stands, it's Pat Pulling, Vug, Hamna El-Koubazi. Then we have a battle at the moment for 5th between Palmovsky and Leah Block. Leah Block keen to improve on that P6, I'm sure, having started from P4 and dropped back. Let's take a look at the race start.
So Bustamante in the McLaren slightly slow to get away. Pulling gets a great jump, doesn't she? Pam does everything right, covers the inside, which makes Vug go to the outside. So then Pulling fills the gap on the inside beautifully, all the way up to the gearbox of Pa. And then Maya Vug tries to go around the outside. There wasn't the grip. Pulling has the line and just forces her out wide. Vug looks to the inside, does get there, but Pulling just carries enough speed to send it all the way around the outside. A bit of a rear snap for Pulling there. Great car control as we go on board of Chambers. As you said, started 12th, got up to 11th. Really good start. Gets past Schreiner on her left. We've got the speed at the moment, but look at the house on the outside to the inside of Nobles now in the Puma car. Then she's going to brake nice and late. Can she get both of these cars on the left? Look at those, all 4 cars locking up. Bustamante, Marty, Block, and I think it was Jessica Edgar as well on our left in the Amex car. It's really hard when these tyres and brakes aren't up to temperature. Here's Pulling. This is what I like. Look how close she gets to Pan in front. She just fills that gap. It doesn't let Maya Vug have any option to cut back to the inside. We then roll it in. We force the car out wide, not giving Vug much space. And then we go in deep here. We miss the apex, but intentionally to keep the speed up high, to keep the momentum. And there was that snap of oversteer. Here's Bustamante. I think this is where we go off into turn number 12. Snap of oversteer through the gravel. 2 snaps of oversteer. Does well to get the car back onto the track, but loses that space to Jessica Edgar, who is forcing her into that dual claim. As we go back to another replay of De House versus El-Koubazi. Amna in the RB Visa car looking to try and fight back there fair, and it's been hard racing so far for both of those ladies.
Yeah, I mean, if Dorian Pat had tried to dream up the perfect start, I think that would have been it, perhaps with Maya Vug behind her. But let's take a look at what the time gap is now between Dorian and Pat, because I remember in the very first race where it was Pat and then Pulling, Pan just built that lead lap after lap. She was really just running her own race. She had a nice clear track ahead of her and just could focus on building that gap between herself and pulling and finish with a 5-6 second gap. It was quite incredible to see, and she's doing something similar again, already nearly 2 seconds up the road. Here's an interesting fact for you. So that is the first time that Abby Pulling has gained a position on the racetrack this series, because she's always started so far up, 7 pole positions and 7 wins. That is the first time she's gained a position this season, which I think just shows again, you know, the caliber of these 2 title protagonists. They really have been battling it together at the top.
Yeah, super interesting stat. Another stat for you, Nikki, is now Formula One Academy has done 2,000 kilometres at the end of that 3rd lap, so the series gaining traction and now starting to really show that it deserves a place on this Formula One support series. Looking at Hamda Al-Khabazi car, looking a little bit loose, the rear of the car starting to move around underneath her. Is that going to give Palmowski a chance? Wildcard entry has been really strong in GB4 this year, finishing 2nd in the championship. She will actually start 4th as well tomorrow in the race, her 2nd fastest lap, very close to her fastest lap, which set her position of 6th in this race. Dorian Pan with the fastest lap of the race, Pulling, keeping that gap under 2 seconds at the moment, but she will be starting to lose the slipstream, but she is pulling away from Maya Vug behind. The cars then get pretty close together, don't they? All the way 4th, pretty much down to 8th at Edgar. Bustamante slightly in her own pocket of air. Then we've got the following 5 cars all close as well. There's still some racing to be done with 9 laps remaining.
Yeah, and just a reminder to those of you who are joining F1 Academy for the very first time, there are no mandatory pit stops or tyre changes during the course of this race. It is a flat-out sprint to the finish line, and all the cars are effectively the same, different Formula One and other sponsored liveries on top, but there's plenty of changes that they can make to the setup, which they have been working on so intensely over the last couple of days.
Yeah, you can actually hear a lot of wheel spin there for Abby Pulling as she exited the hairpin at turn number 6, so that maybe her diff is slightly too tight. It's not able to send the force across the rear of that axle maybe as much as they want. As we look at the wildcard entry, we just saw as well that Chambers is being noted for a false start, as well as Houseman. We were on board with Chambers on that replay, weren't we? And I did think she was rolling just before the lights went out, but I didn't want to dob her into the stewards, so I didn't say anything. As we look back at Palmowski from Hamda Al-Khabazi, the gap looking pretty constant, but it's quite nice of Palmowski being that wildcard entry. She's not worried about the championship, so if she can get that gap a bit closer, it's worth sending a lunge to try and get 4th place off Hamda.
Yeah, hopefully that is reassuring then. If we know about Chloe Chambers' false start, then we will have heard about Dorian Pan, because she has had 2 false starts over the course of this season, with obviously time penalties impacting her overall point score at the moment. So I'm sure she was really practicing her start as much as possible, but it was pretty perfect.
Yeah, looked clean, didn't it, when we watched it live? She sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:54.9. That's 0.3 of a second faster they went in qualifying. That never happens stereotypically because of the track temps being similar, but because they're having their first race at night, they're able to beat their times, and the tyres will just stay a little bit happy. As we look at Chambers dive to the inside of Nobles turning across the front really aggressively, only leaving a car width. Go on board of Chambers, very fair. Now on the outside, sends it back to the inside though. Great look. Nobles again giving space. Whoa, that must have been so close. The front wing of Chambers looked like it was just going to smear against that rear left of Nobles. And now we get back into these fast-flowing corners at turns 4 and 5. It's hard to overtake here. Chambers just locking the front. Can she keep out the gravel trap? We've seen so many drivers going through. Looks okay at the moment, but really ramping the pressure up. But look at Schreiner on the back of her as well.
Really wrestling the corners there. Let's take a look at the replay right from the start. So we're on board here with Chloe Chambers. Let's see if we can see this jump start.
Yeah, the car's just rolling. It's not what you'd call a jump start. It's almost like the clutch biting point was too low and it just couldn't take the engine rev. She was bouncing off the limiter to get the best start, but the car is just lazily lurching forward. The drivers can choose their clutch positioning, and maybe Chambers there just a bit too racy and aggressive with where she wanted the bike point.
So it is Dorian Pound now has extended the lead to almost 3 seconds. Quite an impressive start to this F1 Academy race. Now, we're talking about racing under the lights, but it's actually 11 p.m. local time. Now, we had qualifying 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so there's been a long gap between sessions. It's very late, you know, despite starting late, they would probably have not been able to sleep in this morning. How do you cope with that? The tension, the stress, the nerves coming into a race when it's so late in the evening?
Yeah, it's really difficult. You try to adjust it early in the week. You try and look at your race schedule and go through it. Again, depends on the driver. I always used to like to go back to the hotel with a long break like that. Used to tell the team I had some sponsor meetings where I really just go back and play some FIFA and kick out and chill. But we're seeing a 5-second penalty for Chambers there on the right, and Houseman for those jump starts. So race control have had enough information to hand out those penalties. This race is looking good though between Nobles and Chambers. It's stayed clean so far. We were here a lap ago. The gap's a little bit smaller, like I said, hard to overtake into the next corner at turn number 4, but we're close. We've got a slipstream there. I think we had to lift out the throttle. We were so close. Going to try and go all the way around the outside. 2 right-handers going to be hard. Can we maybe go to the inside coming into 6? No real break point there. You just let the car roll in, lean off the throttle, and that's enough. There's a big overtaking opportunity here at 6 if you need to put that car down the inside. But Chambers thinks better of it, but she's going to have to start looking in America. Schreiner's looking racy too.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a pack here, all ganging up behind Nobles. She's going to very much be looking right in her mirrors. Chambers getting closer and closer, and again, just using every inch of that track to get as much performance out of the car as possible. Inching her way closer and closer. Can she do it? Well, we've got 7 laps to go, and we will soon find out. What can she do in that Haas car? Chloe Chambers has been signed up in the Red Bull Ford for next season, so she will be back on the F1 Academy schedule for another time, but I'm sure she wants to improve on her current standings position, 4th in the standings at the moment.
Yeah, this is for the last point of the race as well. 10th place being a single point. Noble's currently holding on to that, so all of these drivers extra motivated to get themselves inside the top 10. Chambers has stayed really close, and she throughout this lap, you can see into this last corner, keeping the gap well within a couple of tenths. I think as they break the beam, she will be perfectly placed to pick up the slipstream down this long straight into turn number 1. They break just before the 50-meter board, so there's a chance to get the run and then brake later than the car in front. Looks like the inside move's going to be coming any second now. Noble sees it, defends, goes to the middle. Chambers goes even deeper, gets to the inside, holds the inside. Can she now force Nobles out wide, up to the curb? Nobles still on our left. It's going to be another move back on the inside, is it? No, Nobles thinks better of it. Looks like Chambers has taken that position.
Finally, Chambers has made the move stick, and she's moved up into a points finishing position into P10. But it was a great wheel-to-wheel battle there between Aurelia Nobles, and it looks like the Kick Sauber is coming for more action. The Kick Sauber car of Carrie Schreiner is right behind, hot on the heels of Aurelia Nobles. Can she also manage to maximise the opportunity here from that battle that she had? No, she's lost track position, and the Red Bull Ford has moved forward. De Hausch has moved forward up a position into P12, and it's coming on the hunt, on the chase for Aurelia Nobles.
Really great move. We see it so often, don't we? When you're the car on the attack, then suddenly you need to become the defender because you've lost momentum. Nobles did well there to back Schreiner up. We go on board with Chambers, so we look to the inside. Nobles covers the middle. Chambers then goes, well, I'll go all the way to the inside. The track's so wide here into turn 1, so we go, and then we take another step to the inside, brakes super late, gets it to the inside, rolls the speed in, forces Nobles out wide, but leaves her enough space. Nobles comes back to our inside, but Chambers brakes so late into turn 2, Nobles couldn't get that move back done. Really good, hard, fair, clean racing from both drivers involved there.
And that's what I feel like we've seen a lot of over the course of this season. The drivers have really honed in on their skills. They just feel so comfortable in the cars now. If we look back to where we started, there was always so much action on track, but not the action that you want to see, cars spinning off or ending up in the wall. We don't see that now. It's just good wheel-to-wheel battles and plenty of overtaking.
Yeah, the Academy part of the name tag, F1 Academy, proving its point. It's all about learning. And as we've gone through the season, the we just haven't had that many safety cars, have we? The quality of driving has been so good, the instant level's been low, and the racing's been hard and fair, so it's not like they're just poodling around, following each other around. They have been giving it their all out there. Leah Block now starting to pick her pace up a bit as we see the speed traps. Lovenfoss from Marty from Alcaraz just shows you that a fast car in a straight line isn't always the quickest over the lap. Leah Block just running a bit wide there. Could you see the lock up there for Palmoski in front? You can see how dirty the track is offline. One small mistake hurts you for more than just the corner you made the mistake at here.
Yeah, and this is obviously the second season of F1 Academy, so the drivers that raced in it last year, this will be their final season. So a lot of the drivers are looking for race seats in other series, and some of which this would be their first season. The likes of Dorian Pan are looking for their seat for next year. It hasn't been confirmed if Pan is going to be racing at Mercedes again, but given her performance, I would have thought it's relatively likely.
Yeah, really well. And yeah, she's taken the fight to pulling, started the year well in Saudi Arabia at the Jeddah circuit, and has really come back to life as we've revisited the Middle East here. She's been dominant at all times in Qatar, but unfortunately that mid-season blip has hurt her, and at the moment it does look like pulling is going to clinch this championship.
Yeah, as it stands, if it finishes like this, she would indeed be the 2024 F1 champion, F1 Academy champion. Getting carried away with myself, I'm looking into the distance. But obviously this is such an important feeder series now into the F3, F2 and F1 triangle. Yeah, it's going to be a very exciting future for the likes of Abby Pulling.
Yeah, we're watching Alicia Palmoski here. Like I said, our wildcard entry has had a really strong season in the GB4 Championship, taking 3 wins, 2 pole positions, 11 podiums, as we see a battle between Lovenfoss and Houseman. Houseman does have that 5-second penalty, remember. The teams will be telling them, just drops the car onto the exit curb. You can see exactly how low these cars are. As soon as you run that curb, the car bottoms out. Great move by Houseman. Does she get it finished? No, Lovenfoss stays to the inside, cuts the inside potentially at 3, runs all the way now to 4. Then Houseman finally gets the move done, but now she needs to escape by 5 seconds to cement that as a position by the end of the race.
So there we have Jess Hawkins, who's been a brilliant team coach really for Tina Houseman over the course of this series. I mean, just such a benefit for the likes of Houseman to have such an experienced driver alongside you. Jess Hawkins has been at every race over the course of the season so far, and will be a brilliant asset to her and the team.
Yeah, has done so well in the F1 test that she had for Aston Martin F1 at Hungary. We know how well she did with what the team were feeding back to us on that. Also a very fast driver in a GT car, racing an Aston Martin Vantage GT3, and British GT has been very strong at times too. As we look at this Palmoski, Block and Naria Marti battle, at the moment the gap's staying a little bit stagnant maybe, but Block seems to be making some small mistakes. She is catching Palmoski slightly now, but she is definitely pushing harder and harder. She is desperate to try and get inside the top 5.
I think Leah Block has to be a real success story for F1 Academy. You know, this is her first full season in single-seaters, and, you know, she started the first race right down the bottom. There wasn't really much performance from her, but over the course of this series, she's just matured, perfected her skill in this F4 car, and it really has been a joy to see. And then to be back in qualifying at P4 again, it's such an achievement for her and for Williams.
Yeah, I think she's been totally awesome this second half of the season, when you think her sort of background was really rallying, so it couldn't be much further removed from the skill set you need in one of these single-seaters. Great car control, which we do see quite often from her, but she's had to learn a huge amount of skills, and has done it very quickly. I think mid-season has really come on, so again, hopefully she's back next year, because she will be definitely going for race wins, if not an overall championship contender, and she is definitely reeling in Palmoski as we go on board with Bustamante. Still got Edgar behind. That position we lost early on, didn't we, as the car ran wide out of turn 12 through the gravel trap. That will be in the back of her mind as we sweep into turn number 7. Bustamante, great car control as well. We've been on board a lot this weekend. She likes the car quite loose on the rear, so sometimes needing to catch it. You can see how busy she is on the steering wheel. We touched on it earlier in FP2, didn't we, about how bright the lights are on the dash. These cars aren't designed to race at night, so there's no way for the drivers to dim those lights, so they will be quite blinding, and all the drivers going for a more neutral, clear visor because the sun is no longer out. So there's a few other factors to consider that they haven't had so far this year.
Yeah, back to Bianca Bustamante as well. This is the penultimate round, so after this race there are 3 races left, obviously 1 tomorrow and then 2 in Abu Dhabi. And Bustamante's had such a great start to the season. You know, she had a podium finish in P2, but the last 4 races have been no points for her. So she was really looking ahead to this race weekend to improve that time. I think she was just lacking the performance in the car, couldn't quite get those lap times together. But today is her moment to, I guess, redeem and get back up to where she was at the start of the season.
Yeah, really, really strong as we see the cars darting around, under braking, trying to catch the eye of the driver in front in the mirror to force a mistake there. But Block is really catching Palmowski. Palmowski in 5th at the moment. Remember our previous 2 wildcard drivers in Ella Lloyd and Nina Gaidman always in the points. So the wildcard entry is doing really well as we go on board with pulling. Listen in.
Yep, you've got a 4-second gap to behind you, so just bring it home.
Simple.
Ooh, just bring it home, no pressure.
Oh, as you see a spin for Bustamante there. Where is that? I think that could be coming out of turn 5 potentially. She's going to have to take her time to rejoin. See her dropping down the order there. She's going to probably have to wait for all of the cars to go past. A bit of a flame out the exhaust as well there. She should be able to rejoin now, but the rear of the car came round quickly. I was saying she likes the rear to be loose, but unfortunately that was too loose. She does get going, and that is the exit of turn 5. Let's have a look how it happens. Drops the gravel in between turns 4 and 5. The rear lost too much grip, got the clutch down well to stop the car from stalling there, but yeah, going in dirty air potentially as well, hurting her. Car bottoms out as it dips a wheel in the gravel, gives it the lock, but unfortunately race cars don't have that much opposite lock, and that was a lost cause from as soon as she really bottomed out on that exit curve.
Such a shame for Bianca Bustamante there, who would have finished in the points. Now we are coming down to the last few laps of this race. As you can see it there, she would be first in the driver's standings on 263 points if it finishes as it is now. We're on lap 13 of 14, and it was announced this week that the F1 Academy champion will receive a fully funded seat in GB3 with Rodin Motorsport for the 2025 season.
2 more laps, just keep it off the curbs.
So a note there to keep it off the curbs. We can see Gabriella Mini there, the F3 driver from Alpine, who is going to be giving some extra support. There's Alice Powell, who has been an undoubtable support. Phenomenal for Abby Pulling to have such knowledge and support from Alice.
A real good duo there. They've worked together so well, close friends as well, which makes it even easier to work together. The engineer just reminding Abby just to stay off the curbs. Can damage the floor, like I said, but also the tyres. They get so much energy through them over these serrated curbs. As she smashes the curb quite hard at turn 9, she wants to keep in her rhythm. She'll be happy that the tyres are in a safe window. The Rodin team looking on, slightly nervous. They've still got time to win this championship if the worst was to happen, but you want to get it secured as early as you can.
Yeah, I mean, as a driver, knowing what's at stake, do the nerves increase, or are you just so focused on what's happening in the race that you kind of forget about that?
Yeah, it's very easy, and once you're in a rhythm, you don't really want to change anything. And this battle is really heating up, isn't it? We've still got these 5 cars all staying close. Remember, Chambers does have that 5-second penalty. She sends it in sideways. These cars moving around, nowhere near the downforce levels of an F1 car, so the drivers having to work harder with their car control. Lots of gravel being drawn onto the circuit as well from these gravel traps. There's a lot for these drivers to be thinking about as they all enter their final lap.
So this is it, our final lap of the first race here of round 6 of F1 Academy. We are on board with Chloe Chambers at the moment. She is just on the tail of Jess Edgar, trying to maximise what she can do here. There's a lovely little battle between the three of them. Can Chloe Chambers make up a position? She's gone round the outside. She's making up track position. She's using that slipstream. She's made that pass stick.
That was double slingshot engaged. She was behind Edgar, who had to pop to the outside of Marty, and then Chambers got the double slipstream, sent it all the way to the pit wall, and there was a relatively easy move then on the inside of Marty and Edgar. Great move. So that's 3 cars she's overtaken into turn 1 with Nobles, Edgar, and now Nuria Marty, her latest victims.
But Nuria Marty is coming back for more action. But Jess Edgar says, I'm going to close the door on that for now. So now there is our race leader, Dorian Power, in the Mercedes for Prema, 6 seconds ahead of Abby Pulling. It's going to be 25 points for her in the bag, but it won't be enough for her to keep the title alive. It's been phenomenal watching her over the course of this season. What an incredible pedigree, an incredible racer. Her and Abby Pulling, the title protagonists over the course of the last 6 rounds. Despite her injury over the course of the season, she's managed to claw it back. And this is her moment here in Qatar to take home the 25 points for the win. So as she crosses the finish line, it is the Mercedes driver who takes her win here in Qatar. Her 3rd win of the season, but right behind 11 podiums, 7 pole positions, immense focus and determination and unrivaled talent. The 21-year-old British driver from Lincolnshire, Abby Pulling, makes history, becoming our 2024 F1 Academy champion in the Alpine, operated by Rodin. What a moment for her, what a moment for her family, for all of her supporters. One of them, of course, is Alice there. You can see the emotion on her face. Such a special moment. Pulling always thanks her team, always massively credits them for the support that they give her, and I am sure the feeling is very much reciprocated. The Rodin team will be certainly celebrating tonight, despite the time of day it is.
Yeah, it's the perfect time to get back to the hotel and enjoy it. So yeah, great job by Pulling, has been class. Hawkins and Powell there doing their ambassador role so well within the sport. The Rodin team being super happy. Saw Susie Wolf as well in the background, and now Pulling will have a very nice last 3 rounds of the championship just to have some fun. You can see the emotion, how much it means to Alice Powell there.
Well, it's been a long time coming, really. Obviously, Abby Pulling was in F1 Academy last season. She had some highs, she had some lows.
Job done. Great job. Well done. You are champion.
Thank you so much to every single person. My family, my dad, anything can cry. I'm just so happy.
A very special moment indeed. Pulling actually started her motorsport career at the tender age of 3, watching her father Andy, who competed in motorbike endurance racing, and that's really where she developed that passion. Although she did choose the path of 4 wheels, which has clearly paid off.
Check and reflect, Dori. Check and reflect.
Was a mega car today.
Brava, brava, Dori. Mega job today. Amazing.
Amazing indeed. The little pocket rocket that has really shown us a proper determination and kept her title hopes alive right up until this point, the penultimate round of the season. So we look forward to speaking to Pulling very shortly. But it's interesting because when she started in karting, she always described herself as a bit of a rare sight. One of the only females in go-karting, and I think this year we've had a record number. Listen up. Champion! Yes, indeed. I won't say that like that again. But Pulling, the fact that she, you know, she chose to go into 4 wheels, she won that 2-time British Junior TKM Karting Championship when she was just 13 years old. But let's enjoy this moment for Dorian Power. Absolutely jubilant, and so she should be very well deserved to take 2 pole positions and a race win. She will be starting from pole again tomorrow, of course, as we get to go racing for a second time here in Qatar. But this is the driver of the moment, the driver of the day. Her second season in F1 Academy, she finished 5th overall last year, but she had her eyes on the prize. And with the support of the likes of her driver coach, Alice Powell, her father, Andy, her engineer, Courtney Criswell, and everyone in that team, the champion, she is the champion, the F1 Academy champion. This title is hers. And she's very happy about it. Yeah, fair enough.
You could hear the emotion release as she screamed her lungs off. Anne Bradshaw as well. They're one of my former PR advisors, so great to see Anne still in the paddock as well. Alice Powell saying what a great job into turn 1 as well, so she recognises what a good move that was on Maya Vug to secure the championship. If she hadn't had that done, she wouldn't be holding this sign aloft so early on in this championship.
I have a feeling she's going to take that and go to sleep with that next to her. If I was champion, I would.
Yeah, it'd be a nice touch. You just wouldn't want to roll over in the night, I guess.
But a really special moment, we've got to say, for Rodin as well, who have been such a support to her over the last couple of years. David Dicker as well, the owner of Rodin Motorsport, has been really pivotal in her career and for this moment, making history in Qatar.
See Dorian Pan coming over and congratulating her. Big handshake, big smile on her face. She's happy she's a race winner, but she will, of course, be frustrated that the championship is no longer possible. She will now be fighting to hold on second from Maya Vug.
Do you think it was the glittery helmet that she talked about and spent a lot of time designing that has brought her that luck?
Let's go with that. As a driver, the crash helmet is the most important thing in your life. It has to look cool, and it has to be fast, and it has to be lucky. And I think that helmet is going to get retired and put somewhere very prominent in the Pulling household.
But back to what I was saying a little bit earlier, the increase in the number of female registrations in motorsport has gone up by 25% this year. It used to be 3%, which I think is just a massive credit to the likes of Abby Pulling, who are such a huge influence now. It is amazing to have someone like Pulling and the rest of the F1 Academy grid to look up to aspire to be. And it's already having an effect.
She's a great ambassador for the sport. It's going to draw in younger and younger females, and that's exactly what's needed all the way through motorsport. The younger you bring people in, the more likely they are to stay and go all the way through the ranks. And starting karting at 3 years old has certainly helped that. And let's remember, she was the first female winner in a British F4 race. She was the fastest in the all-female Formula E test as well a few weeks ago. She's already driven in a Formula 1 car as well, the Lotus 2012 Kimi Raikkonen car. So at the moment, literally the sky is the limit. Jessica Hawkins there again, giving her a big congratulations. So yeah, it's great to see how popular she is, and quite rightly so. She's a really, really nice young lady.
Yeah, someone was telling me, I won't say who, that she's a bit of a joker in the paddock, and you can see that personality just oozing out of her. So much enthusiasm and joy, and a big smile on her face. Running to the podium. Yes, come on, let's have an interview with you. We want to hear what you've got to say, Abby Pulling. So we will go down to Naomi Schiff, and let's hear now from Abby Pulling.
Abby Pulling, you are the F1 Academy 2024 champion. All of your hard work has paid off. Just talk us through your emotions in this moment.
It's nice to hear them words. Yeah, it's been a tougher season, I think most think. You know, going to the year, I had no choice to win, you know. I mean, you know me, I've struggled financially in the past, and to get the prize for next year, I know it's so early to talk about next year, but that makes me so happy, so incredibly proud, and I can't thank everyone who's got me in this position. Alpine, Rodin Cars, you know, David, gosh, everyone that's like stood over there, I can't thank them enough. There's so many people in my corner, my family, all the sacrifices my dad's made. I'm gonna rattle them all off, but it's just a sigh of relief. It wasn't an easy race, so I'm glad that, you know, I stuck it out at the start and really pushed on.
As you say, this meant a lot for a lot of people, whether it's Alpine, whether it's Roden, your family. This is a huge moment. It's a tough circuit to overtake on. So when you saw that you got an incredible start to get that second place, were you really relieved in that moment?
Not relieved. I was had the adrenaline pumping. I was like, right, it's on. Yeah, I was like, Maya, you're not coming past. Sorry. I really enjoyed that actually. You know, I've lost a place or two at the start sometimes, so to really do it where it counts, you know, I knew it was important. So I'm really proud of myself, and yeah, I showed what I was made of in that race.
Well, you had an incredible season, so congratulations for that. You also get a fully funded season in GB3 as a result of this championship win. How are you feeling about the future?
Honestly, as I said, like, it's such a weight off my shoulders. I think every year I go into every winter, like, what am I going to do next? So, it's been me and my dad, and recently I've managed to get, the likes of Alpine and Roden cars, Roden, really pushing me, as well as got Namika, who's here this weekend, Martin, EvTech, loads of people, host media. So I'm rattling them all off again. But they've all been in my corner and helped me get this far, and that will just help for the next step. And I'm going to go into next year as hungry as I have this year, and really, really put the work in and make the most of the opportunity. I can for once say I'll make sure I leave no stone unturned.
Well, we can see how much this means to you. I want to say another huge congratulations. Enjoy your celebrations tonight, and of course, good luck for the race tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
One very happy F1 Academy champion. Let's take a look at some of those moments. A good wave to the crowd. But really, it hasn't been an easy career for Pulley. She touched upon it there. It's very difficult to get the funding to have a motorsport career. And of course, she did have issues in British F4 and only managed to complete the half a season in her second season in British F4 and had to pull out due to funding. This is the driver's briefing room. Let's have a listen in. Or maybe there's nothing to listen to because it's just Maya Vurg. Now, Maya Vurg did a sterling job there. Okay, so she missed out at the start of the race, but is on the podium for a 5th consecutive time. And that will really help her fight in the standings for 3rd.
Yes, disappointed.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But,
it's all
it's all
to
learning.
learn.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's annoying.
I know, but that's the right approach.
Yeah. But,
That's the right approach, but stay
for
focused.
tomorrow.
Well
done. You've got everybody here for you.
I know. Party started in here, is it?
I've said later.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Bravissima.
Thank you.
All good?
Thanks, mate. Oh, that was a step there.
Be careful.
That was a tough start, mate.
Yeah, but your start was good. I think both of us was good, but then
I was like. Your tyre was just like on it.
yeah, but outside there was no good. Then I just lost. But the last time you lost a bit in the last time.
Oh yeah, like my tyres looked like a cheese grater's gone to it.
Yeah, I was gaining a lot in the last time.
Both, everything. Yeah, it was. I turned 4 nearly span on the last lap. I was like, no. I was like, no.
Massive also.
Turn 12?
Yeah.
Turn 12?
But all sector 3, but
The whole
mainly turn
pack
12.
is always packed up. We just do our own race always.
Ooh. Ooh. Oh my god, what move? Is that
Oh, like Bierman.
Yeah. Nice. No.
It's T4.
Yes. T5. I think.
No, I thought that was.
What? A lot of pickup on the rear right.
Yeah, but
It's normal.
see the
all the
rear.
corners
Oh, it's
Always love to hear the chat between the drivers, doing a bit of post-race analysis with each other. Maya Vuk there clearly a bit frustrated with the start of her race, you know, just didn't throw it away, but unfortunately, as she mentioned, went round the outside and there just wasn't the grip.
Yeah, disappointed, I think, for herself, but also for her Premier teammate, Pat. She could have held on second. The championship wouldn't have been decided. So, yeah, and some great characters in that cool-down room, wasn't there? We saw Susie Wolf in the background, Stefano Di Micali as well, Flavio Briatore as well, obviously involved in the Alpine F1 team. So, yeah, Pulling is in the right place to keep her trajectory going up, giving the international racing driver a sign of, I gave it everything, shaking her fist, telling Vug that she wasn't going to let her back through. But, yeah, it's always good to see what they were talking about the cars. Pulling sounded like she pushed hard, tyres like a cheese grater, Pan complaining of oversteer in Sector 3. It sometimes looks easy from the outside, but that isn't what is going on behind the wheel.
So time for some podium celebrations. There we have Maya Vuk for Ferrari on the third step of that podium. A very special moment for the driver who has been on the podium for 5 consecutive times. So she's the runner-up in today's race, but definitely not when it comes to this series. Our F1 Academy champion, Abby Pulling, standing proud. And yet Dorian Pin, who is the runner-up in this series, is today's winner, and very jubilant about it too. What a way to celebrate and to enjoy a podium moment.
To Dorian Pin, well done to her 7th podium. The trophy is presented to her by Stefano Domenicali, who is the...
So the CEO of Formula One is presenting the trophies, Stefano Domenicali, which just shows once again the importance, the support from Formula One.
Also presented by Stefano Domenicali, 100% podium record today. Well done to her.
Abby Pulling enjoying the moment.
A 7th podium this year. Trophy is presented by
Fatima Al-Kadi, the head of media at Lusail International Circuit, is presenting the winner's trophy.
Well done to our podium winners. And now let's celebrate.
So now it is time to spray each other and celebrate, because of course there is still plenty of work to be done. Abby Pulling may have wrapped up the title in the drivers' standings, but there is still very much a teams competition going on. Kramer against Rodin, against Campos. What is going to happen? We will find out tomorrow. It really has been a very special day of racing. But it is Abby Pulling who is today's champion. Would you always pour champagne on over you like that? Shower in it, bath in it?
When you've won a championship, yes, it's the relief. You feel it running all the way down your body and it feels great. And yeah, I think that is exactly what Abby Pulling has done there. Maya Vug not looking happy. There's 3 sets of emotion among all 3. I think she really wanted to help Dorian Pin there try and keep the championship fight alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, F1 Academy is very much, you know, they said that they wanted to be the kind of rocket fuel that will propel female driver participation in this sport. And I think seeing racing like this and a competition like this, it's got to happen, right? I mean, it has been so brilliant to see these drivers battle it out head-to-head, time and time again. Let's take a look at the final race results. So Dorian Pat has taken the win here in Qatar, with Abby Pulling in second and Maya Berg for Ferrari in third. Hamda Al-Khabazi there, securing a fourth place finish. A wild card, Pulowski in fifth, Leah Block in sixth, Edgar, Marty, Nobles and De Hausch managing to score a point there in P10. In 11th, we had Chloe Chambers just dropping out of the points there. She tried her hardest, but didn't quite manage to make that position stick. Schreiner, Al-Khabazi, Lovenfoss, Hausman and Bustamante, after that big spin towards the end, also dropped out of the points. Thank you so much for joining us on what really has been an incredible journey today. 6 rounds, but today F1 Academy made history, crowning its 2024 champion, Abby Pulling. But there's no time to rest. Tomorrow we go racing again. See you then.
Posición de